Welcome to Good Money Moves, the show where we share financial tips and advice to help you feel financially empowered. I'm Jenna Taubel, AVP of Marketing here at First Alliance Credit Union, and with me today is Kim Ferraro, our branch manager at our Lake City branch, and she also oversees our contact center lenders. So Kim, thank you so much for being here today. Before we dig into our topic, which is all about overdrafts and how you can avoid them on your account, I'm going to let Kim introduce herself and share a little bit about what she does here at the credit union.
Great. Thanks, Jenna. Yeah, so I'm Kim Ferraro. I am, like she said, the branch manager at our Lake City location, and then also the branch manager of our contact center lenders. So if you apply online or have questions and call in, you can talk to them, and they're very helpful. I've been with the credit union for 17 years. I have done everything from work on the teller line when we had them to help support our business team. I've helped support our member solutions team and everything in between. So it's really great to be here and kind of share some knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for being here, Kim. This is a really exciting topic to talk about because I think a lot of young people who maybe don't have a lot of income starting out, or maybe they are just in a situation where they have lower income in general, are probably the group that tend to feel overdrafts most often. But before we dig too deep into that, let's just define what an overdraft is. Can you tell us a little bit, what is it?
Yeah, so an overdraft is if you have checks coming from your account or debits coming from your account or automatic payments coming from your account and there's not enough money in it, will actually pull your account negative, or we do have other option as well. Mm-hmm. So it's when you don't have enough money in your account and your account either will overdraw or pull from different lines that we offer too. And we can dive into that later too. Mm-hmm. I will also add there are a lot of people who do make a good amount of money, and it's just you're living paycheck right now with grocery prices and everything else. So
yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, it can be something as simple as you get paid tomorrow, but you need to pay that bill today, and so, or maybe you just didn't realize how much had come out and you bought yourself an extra coffee on the way to work in the morning and you don't get paid till tomorrow. So just all those little scenarios can pop up in life where your account just doesn't have the funds in it that you need to cover everything that you're doing. And sometimes it happens more than once. Sometimes it's just a once in a while oops, but they do happen. And I think everybody has experienced an overdraft on their account at some point in time. So let's maybe talk a little bit about some of the fees that can be involved with an overdraft.
Yeah.
And, it can really impact somebody's budget or even kind of mess with their financial goals because if they're not expecting it, especially if you're just starting out learning how to manage a checking account. Talk a little bit about the fees involved with overdraft.
Yeah, so there are fees that can occur with that. So depending on if it's a check, you could do a return check fee, or we do have overdraft fees as well if there's not money in it and you don't have anything else to cover it. So if something does go through, we can set an account up to pull from a checking account, and then the checking account, the money would go into your savings to help cover that. And there is a little bit of a fee to cover that. Or we do have overdraft lines of credit that you can always apply for. You can apply for them online or in a branch. And then the fee for that would just be the interest on what you would borrow for covering that particular item. Mm-hmm. So the fees can kind of vary depending on what scenario you have and what is helping with that overdraft.
Sure. So it sounds like there's maybe you mentioned a couple different options. So there's kind of linking your checking account to a savings account to kind of help cover that difference that might occur. If you have enough in that savings account, it could help pay for whatever's coming out of that checking account. So you're not necessarily going negative, but you're just kind of borrowing out of that savings account. Right?
Correct.
And then you mentioned an overdraft line of credit, which I'm assuming is, it's like a credit card, but without the piece of plastic attached to it. But instead it's of that being attached to that piece of plastic, it's attached to your checking account. So same scenario as with the savings, but it would just pull from that line of credit to cover whatever that cost was that you were trying to that debit card purchase or that ACH that was going through.
Exactly. And then you would just pay back that line of credit either the next time that you got paid, or some people like to just make payments toward what is borrowed depending on how big the mistake was, or depending on if you needed it for an extra bill.
No, that's good advice. But that kind of brings me to another question I have, and that is, like, obviously if you have a line of credit attached to your checking account for overdraft, that would involve your credit score. But do overdrafts and, like, managing your checking account in general impact your credit score in any way, shape, or form?
They do not, no. The only way it would affect it is that line of credit that we talked about, and if you missed a payment on it, or depending on how much you borrowed off of it. But otherwise, if it's just an oopsie and something's pulling from your account, that does not affect your credit score. The only way it would affect your credit score, which this doesn't happen very often, is let's say the check was returned and whomever you wrote that check for wanted to collect on that separately. And that's very far few in between right now.
Sure. So it doesn't happen frequently, but it could.
Correct.
Happen. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe let's talk maybe a little bit about what are some things that people can do on a day-to-day or weekly or like a regular basis to help manage their checking account a little bit better so that they aren't running into overdrafts as frequently.
Yeah, so I always suggest people to download our app if you have a phone that's compatible with it, or we do have a great online banking system that you can see everything as well. So looking at that either in the morning or in the afternoon or at night, either like once a day if you're running a lot of stuff through it. Otherwise, a lot of people, we do have check registers still. So that's kind of a thing that's being outdated now because we have so much electronic. But if you're a person who really likes to write things down and you can remember it with writing it down, we do have check registers for free at all of our branches so that you could keep track of your balance in your account as well.
Coming and going. Great. No, I love that. And I like that you bring up the fact that you could just easily, check the mobile app in the morning, or like if you're about to make a purchase somewhere and you're like, I don't get paid till tomorrow. I wonder how much I really do have. You can check it so fast. And I think we even have, that instant balance feature where you don't even have to log in to the mobile app to see what your current and available balance is. That I use that all the time when I'm out just running errands. Like, I do kind of want to buy a bubble tea for my daughter and me today. Can we afford that today? Can she afford that with the Greenlight app? Those types of things. So
the great thing about that too is we do have alerts that you can set up on the app too. So if you want to notice to say, notify me when my account gets to like $10 or $5, we can put that on there and you'll get a text message that says, hey, you have $5 in your account left. So that's actually a really nice feature too.
Yes, and I'm glad you bring that up because to that point, for myself even, I have set up alerts like tell me when more than $100 has been spent on on this checking account, or even if you've got connected to your kids' account, you can help kind of manage their accounts that way too, and just have alerts and notifications sent to you based on the different types of transactions and purchases that are happening, and that can really just help keep you on budget, which if you're staying on budget, you're less likely to overdraft. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. Exactly. The other thing that I want to circle back around to, you mentioned overdraft protection, and we call that courtesy pay here at First Alliance. So can you explain a little bit about that program and how that works and how that's different than just like a random fee you would get assessed?
Yeah, so courtesy pay is a great thing that we offer, and we do not pull credit to get it. So it's offered when you open your account with First Alliance. It's a $500 cushion, kind of, is what it is. So it does pull your account negative for whatever's going through. So let's say you have a check for $10 going through. It would pull the $10 negative, and you'd have to pay that back, and there is a fee for that purchase and anything else that would go through. So it's not one single fee for it. It's each time it would hit. But the benefit of that is you don't have a return check fee on the other end. And sometimes those fees are like $50 depending on where it's from. And then you'd have to ask the person that you wrote the check to or the company if they're going to run the check again, or if you have to mail them another one, and it saves from all that headache.
Sure.
And that's something that you can opt into at any point, but we usually ask people right away with their checking account if you want to opt in or out of it.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's really just a additional measure to kind of protect and make sure that when you have important bills that need to be paid, or you need to make sure that you get groceries bought, that you're going to have that money available, so that you're not having to, have your card declined when you're at the grocery store just because you didn't get paid till the next day, or if you paid your mortgage payment out of your checking account or something, and you need that just an extra $100 to cover that until you get your next paycheck. It will allow all of that to go through and continue a little bit more seamlessly, and just kind of eliminate some of the headache that might be involved in that. But you also did mention that there is a fee involved with each transaction that happens. So that is something to be mindful of. It's maybe not something you want to use all the time, but it is really helpful to have in those quick situations, just to kind of keep life moving forward.
Yeah, it's really a peace of mind to know that, I have to pay my mortgage, but I also have to go get groceries because I need to make lunches tomorrow, right? So it's that peace of mind, and to not be embarrassed, or to just make sure that we have it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great tool that honestly everyone should have on their account.
Yeah, and the fact that you can opt into it at any time. So if somebody chose not to opt into it when they originally opened their account, but they're like, I think that could be a really useful tool for my situation, they can just call up anytime and choose to opt in at it.
Exactly. We do have some people that opt in for some things, and then if life happens, they opt out of it later. So you can opt in and out as much as you want, and there's no fee to opt in, and there's no fee to opt out. Beautiful. So that's a great benefit. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's maybe talk a little bit about, okay, so maybe I did overdraw my account. I went, $50, $100, $10 negative, whatever it is. What are some of the immediate things I should do once I realize that that's happened, to try to get, minimize any fees that might be involved in that, but also to bring my account positive again?
Yeah, that's great. We do have a mobile deposit. So if you don't have a direct deposit into your account and you get regular paychecks, you can do a mobile deposit with your phone, and you can do the deposit that way. If you do not have the checking account hooked up to your savings, you can go on and do a transfer, or you can call in and do a transfer to the checking account as well. If you're not sure when the next deposit's going to be, because maybe you're waiting for a check, you can always call into one of our branches, and someone can help you with that line of credit that we talked about. You could apply for that as well.
Yeah, awesome. So there's definitely some ways to kind of get ahead of it as soon as you realize it.
Yep.
So we've talked a little bit about linking the checking account and the savings account as a method to avoid those overdraft fees a couple of times. Are there any downsides to having your checking account and savings account linked, and to have that money pulling out of your savings account with, kind of automatically to help cover some of that?
I would say the only downside would be if you're really not watching your accounts and you're saving for something special, or if you have automatic withdrawal coming from that savings account. You really got to watch those. I really suggest, we talked about earlier, looking at that instant balance and making sure that you have funds in it. Or, maybe it's part of your Sunday routine, right? Okay, I have this much money to spend, and just making sure that if you do use the money from the savings, that you replenish it at some point too.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, that, if you're not watching it closely enough, you could deplete your savings really quickly with that method. But also, I would assume then, if you didn't have the funds in your savings to cover that negative balance in that checking, that it just wouldn't pull additional money. You can't go negative in your savings account.
Correct. You cannot go negative in the savings account. So then it would pull either pull that account negative if you had that overdraft protection we talked about, or it would just return the item that was trying to go through.
Yeah, interesting. So let's talk a little bit too then about, how if you're kind of in this habitual habit of overdrawing your account, you've just kind of gotten used to kind of living life that way, because some people do, right? You know, and they rely on the overdraft line of credit or the courtesy pay, and they kind of, you know, pull and pay and pull and pay and pull and pay. And it's kind of this cycle. What are some ways that somebody could get out of that cycle, especially if they're trying to reach like a larger financial goal? You know, maybe they want to have, you know, some kind of down payment for a car saved up, or they, you know, they have other financial goals, but they're kind of stuck in this cycle of overdrafting all the time. What are some strategies or things that somebody could do to start to kind of dig themselves out of that cycle?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there are a lot of people that do have that. So I would say the first step is to make a budget. You really need to look at what needs to be paid and when, and in that budget, the when is a key as well. So when are you getting paid on what dates, and then what is coming through on what dates, and what can maybe be paid with like your first paycheck of the month, and what could be paid with the second paycheck of the month. Because really helping down those dates will really help you. And then also getting out of that hole with the fees is important, because I would assume that if those things are going on, then you're paying unnecessary fees. So we can help you with that. And maybe it's getting a small fixed loan and making small payments to that to help you stay on track with the budget that we could help you with as well.
Sure. Yeah, so I love that you're bringing that budget into play and kind of really lining up your payments that you have coming in, because a lot of times those payments are pretty predictable when they're going to come in, you know, outside of maybe like your debit card spending, which you have a lot of control over your debit card spending in a lot of cases. So the fact that you kind of break it into paycheck periods versus just trying to look at the whole month or the whole year, I think that can be a kind of a game changer for somebody who's never budgeted before, because budgeting can be really scary and daunting and a little overwhelming if you've never done it before. But I like that you recommended to just break it down into those smaller chunks. That feels a little bit more approachable for a lot of people. So what are maybe some other like budgeting hacks or strategies that people can start using to keep their finances on track and avoid ever getting into the position where they're having overdrafts happening?
I think kind of what we talked about before is looking at your account monthly, daily, weekly, right? Making sure that you know how much you have to spend on different bills compared to how much you can spend on like fun money. I know there's a lot of people that they do just cash for like coffee or bubble teas, right? And then once the cash is gone, it's like, okay, well, that's my fun money for the month, right? Yeah. So that kind of helps with different things. And then we also do have budgeting tools online that really help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like we've covered a ton of ground, but we are out of time.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Kim, for being here today. It was really informational, and I appreciate all the knowledge that you shared and the tips. So thank you for tuning in. And before you go, please make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss an episode. You can also listen to Good Money Moves on Apple, Spotify, and of course YouTube podcasts. And make sure to visit our website at firstalliancecu.com to learn more about how you can protect yourself from overdrafts and all about budgeting. Until next time, this has been Good Money Moves, and stay financially empowered.